we are pretty much we're pretty much at the end of the season, at least end of the regular season, and this has been an electric regular season for uh, the Heisman run. There's been a lot of players that have seen their names amongst the top three or four of the Heisman. Caleb Williams was someone going into the season that a lot of people, like myself, thought that was going to repeat as a Heisman Trophy winner, but with some very bad losses and seemingly the end of USC's season, doesn't look like he's even in the top five. And a lot of that is not his fault, but then there are some very poor interceptions that he's thrown. What I'm saying is, it has been a very interesting year for the Heisman race, and there have been many, and I mean many, different players that have made a case that can win the Heisman. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to give my top five. I know I gave a top five, I think, last episode of NBA players 25 and under. What I wanted to do is I wanted to give my top five in the Heisman race and who I think should win, who I think shouldn't win. Now, there were players, obviously, that didn't make my list that definitely were good enough to make the list, like Blake Corum and J.J. McCarthy for Michigan. Forget everything that's going on with the sign stealing thing. Though that duo is great, and I mean they haven't lost a game. Now we'll see what happens. Of course, they play Ohio State in this week, but Blake Corum, and J.J. McCarthy are definitely good enough to be in the Heisman conversation. I just don't have them there, you know. But let me start with my five. At five, I have Jalen Milroe for Alabama. Now, I don't know if you guys remember how rough it looked at the start of the year for Alabama and Jalen Milroe. Like, they benched him. And then once they realized, oh, yeah, no, we kind of got to run that back. Because nah. I even put a video out, man. Their quarterback room was trash. But it's beautiful seeing the maturation of Jalen Milroe's game from the beginning of the season to now. Now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, especially when we talk about throwing the ball and ultimately running the ball. I mean, as we talk right now, he has 2,267 yards, 19 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He has been great. And the thing that's killing Alabama right now is the fact of not only they lost to Texas, and Texas is above them. So it is tough. And until Texas loses, you can't just like jump Alabama, or you can't have Alabama jump Texas because Texas beat them. But Jalen Milroe has been great. If on any other year, right, Jalen Milroe would obviously be a top one or two candidate, but that's how good the Heisman race has been this year. So I have him at number five. At number four, I have Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I will admit, going into this season, I think there's a debate that a lot of people aren't having. And I understand. Maybe if we talk about NFL history, maybe we talk about NFL ready, maybe we talk about just stature, if we talk about just physical build, yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the most NFL ready wide receiver in football. That's probably not. And there's obviously no question that Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the top wide receivers in football. I have him at number four in my Heisman race. But I don't know if I don't know if Marvin Harrison Jr. is the number one wide receiver in football. I mean, if you look, he has 62 receptions for 1,093 yards, 13 touchdowns. But if you go to Rome Odunze, the wide receiver for Washington, he has 66 receptions, 1,206 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Meaning he has not only more receptions, he has more yards. And I think one thing that's helping Rome Odunze and why that you can have an argument about is he as good as Marvin Harrison is because of the system and the quarterback that you play with. Obviously, Rome Odunze is playing alongside a much better quarterback than what Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing, which is actually kind of why I have him at number 4. I'm not saying that Ohio State's or who is Ohio State's quarterback. I'm not saying Ohio State's quarterback is terrible, but he's not like Kyle McCord. I'm not saying he's terrible. He ain't Michael Penix. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I have the edge for Marvin Harrison Jr. But I think that you can have an argument that Rome Odunze is, in fact, the best wide receiver in football or in college football. But Marvin Harrison Jr., week after week, he makes electric plays, and he is one of the biggest reasons that Ohio State not only is 11-0, but is a lot of people have them winning it all. A lot of that's because of him. So I have Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4. Number 3, I have Michael Penix Jr. The man is throwing 3,695 yards, 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's kind of slowed down from the beginning of the year to now. Now that's not saying much, seeing as though they're 11-0, but he continues to impress. And while, again, he's slowed down considerably compared to where he was in the beginning of the year, Washington is still knocking on the door to the college football playoffs. I think that if they beat Oregon, which I hope Oregon makes it, if they beat Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, then, and of course we saw what happened with Jordan Travis and Florida State breaking his leg, or ankle. I hope that nothing but a speedy recovery, but his career is over, and I don't know how they're going to fare, and I don't know what the committee is going to do with that, but Michael Penix Jr. has been great, and he has Washington right now undefeated. So, and he was the front runner for majority of the year. I can't take that away from him. You know what I'm saying? So I have Michael Penix Jr. at number 3. At number 2, and number 1, in my opinion, can go back and forth. At number 2, I have Bo Nix of Oregon. The man, look, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Oregon fan. Bo Nix has 35 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He has a QBR of 89.7, which is third, and he has 3,539 yards. Now, Bo Nix, I understand he's been the starting quarterback in college for like 1,000 years. Like he's like the oldest player in college football. And I will also say that as an Oregon fan, I was not happy that we got Bo Nix, and last year didn't excite me in no way, shape, or form. He wasn't that good last year. So the fact they said he was coming back, I said, oh my gosh. But Bo Nix has been great, man. And Bo Nix, to me, is one of the biggest reasons why I think that Oregon is probably one of the most well-balanced teams in college football. And they have one of the most explosive offenses in football, obviously, because of Bo Nix and his connection with the speedy wide receivers and the speedy running backs. And this Oregon team feels much different than any of the past Oregon teams, like the Marcus Mariota teams, the Garrett Blunt Oregon team, because this team is balanced. And Bo Nix has been incredible, and with that one loss, I think it's big, and you lost to a Washington team that is undefeated, I think. But Bo Nix still looks good, and they only lost by 3 points, so I don't think it's that big now I think about it. But yeah, I have Bo Nix at number 2 for the Heisman. Number 1, I have Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels leads college football in passing touchdowns, I believe, at 36. He has 4 interceptions. He leads the nation QBR with 94.9, and he has 3,577 yards. Bro, last game, I understand they have 3 losses. I get that. Last game, he threw 8 touchdowns. Like, he has played his way not only to an NFL draft pick, he's played his way to possibly a very high first-round draft pick. Jaden McDaniels has been great. When we talk about the way that he uses his legs and reading defenses and passing the ball, like, that boy is incredible. Like, man, I'm looking at it too. Last year, he threw for 2,913, or he had 2,913 yards and 17 touchdowns with 3 interceptions. This year, again, right now, 3,577 with 36. So he's damn near doubled his. Actually, he's more than doubled. Yeah, he's more than doubled his touchdowns. Man, his QBR his passer rating skyrocketed from 144 last year to 208. Yeah, man. Jaden McDaniels to me is. I understand people are looking at that 3 loss and being like, ugh, but yeah, I have Jaden McDaniels as the Heisman favorite right now. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.